Cory Booker. Here he is at the Senate committee hearing on regulating cryptocurrency. He loves crypto, it appears. In fact, he thinks it's a democratizing force. So
I want to know who's lobbying him. I want to know what he's holding. I want to know a lot of things now.
Right, exactly, because this is literally just straight out of the language of crypto bros and people who hold a lot of crypto. Wouldn't be shocked if he has some himself. And the argument that he uses here in order to promote cryptocurrency is predictably cynical.
Thank you so much. I believe we have Senator Booker with us virtually. Senator Booker.
Yes, you have me. Thank you very much. This is a really exciting hearing. I want to thank our chairwoman for hosting it. I actually believe there's some urgency that we act in this space. I think that we can create a more sensible regulatory framework.
There's no phrase people like more in like the tech VC world than like this space.
Yeah.
You need to move in this space.
He's going to say innovation too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Cory Wall Street Booker. I can't imagine he's on. I can't believe he's promoting crypto.
I've been concerned about with technology moving, the lack of government's ability to move at the speed of technology undermines the ability for Americans to apply this technology. I came into the Senate on the Commerce Committee, and I remember the FAA was regulating drones in such a horrible way that other countries like France were using drones for dangerous missions, from fixing poles and wires to doing mining work, where we in the United States.
In other words, clearly practical applications that are demonstrable, and you can see actually what the use is just by looking at it.
As opposed to like covert murders,
or like compared to like cryptocurrency, which is just speculative assets and like dumb JPEGs tokens.
Also, the technology is not like, it's not new. It's not anything spectacular.
Oh, no.
Right.
This isn't some,
it's
like,
actually
innovative
ancient and inefficient.
Like if we're going to talk about technology and he's making the comparison to drones, I mean, a pilotless flying machine that could be controlled from the ground from far away, that's a pretty crazy technology. A database where people are speculating on tokens that are stored in this database, which are basically just characters, numbers and letters. Not really any sort of innovative thing going on there.
That's what's so funny about when they try to compare it to the internet or stuff like this, because it's like, oh yeah, communicating from across the world immediately, that has an immediate utility. This sort of stuff doesn't. It didn't take like that long for even drones, right? Like JFK's older brother died in like what was a sort of like attempt at like a drone type of thing. Like they wanted a drone, but they needed actually one pilot, right? But this stuff has been desired for decades, and so of course the practical utility was there. And I also think like it's good that the FAA, like I wish the FAA was more democratic, but I think the government should have an ability to say like, hey, Jeff Bezos can't fly drones into your backyard, for instance, that sort of thing.
Of course. Right. All right, keep going.
We're still seeing death rates that could have been avoided with technology, but the FAA was so over-regulating this new technology.
Over-regulating.
And I said to the then chairperson of the FAA that if you were around during the time of Orville and Wilbur Wright, we would have never gotten off the ground. And so,
you know how many people died trying to make like flying machines? You know, people died trying to make like flying machines too. Like, you know, back in the early days. I mean, you know, what were you saying, Matt?
Well, I actually blanked now. I was listening to you.
Yeah, it's just this technology that churns a ton of electricity and is terrible for the environment and is basically started as a way for drug dealers to hide their money, and now is a way for crooks on Wall Street to do pump and dump schemes. It's the same thing as the invention of the airplane.
But also like
they can't acknowledge us for that stuff though. Like, you know, because like crypto is still crypto and also NFTs are still like a solution in search of a problem. Exactly. Because the only things that they actually solve right now are like how to launder money, you know, untraceably theoretically, but I mean people are tracing it now.
No, it's not even very good at that. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
It's not even good for that application.
Like all it's done, it hasn't even really revolutionized scamming. Most scams on cryptocurrencies are just like the oldest scams in the book. You know,
the one area has revolutionized scamming is that previously the scammed could get there. Well, still to this day, the scammed, if you get scammed out of via your credit card or your bank account or credit card company will rule in your favor and get you your money back. If you get scammed via crypto, say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You're not getting that back.
As Trump would say, bye-bye, bye-bye. But Cory Booker has a way that it actually affects racial justice and changes the makeup here in this country.
Yep.
Oh, God. Were around during the time of Orville and Wilbur Wright, we would have never gotten off the ground.
Horrible.
And so this is one of those cases where we are already seeing some of the hopeful, optimistic possibilities in cryptocurrency. What
are they?
Democratizing.
Someone tell me. Can some cryptocurrency advocate who, like Cory Booker, tell me one example of what they are? Because all we ever hear about are these hypothetical, not even a specific hypothetical, just these innovations. This vague
Do you have
innovation.
Do you have the Howard Schultz sound drop? This is what he sounds like.
Well, yeah, I'll get to that later. But yeah, this is going to be a new sound drop. This hopeful, optimistic possibilities. Here it is.
And so this is one of those cases where we are already seeing some of the hopeful, optimistic possibilities in cryptocurrency. It has a democratizing a force. Minorities are overrepresented in using that, and obviously it represent with traditional banking.
Press pause for a second. These stats are some of the most bullshit stats. And I've seen some of these surveys. Some of them, by the way, administered via a pro-crypto or crypto company that's trying, obviously, to promote this. These surveys where people like Cory Booker get the idea that there is an they overcount minority groups who are into crypto. And the questions are always something so vague like, have you ever once in your life purchased a Bitcoin or a piece of a Bitcoin, a fraction of a Bitcoin or some other cryptocurrency? And they always point out, oh, look, it's like something like 10 to 15 or 20% of like Latinos and Black people are in that group. Never questioning, A, how much did they actually put in? B, was it just like being that's how vague that question is? Did a friend just tell them to like check it out and they put like $1 in and then never touched it again and never had any interest in the space again because they realized it was bullshit? Because they could technically in that survey say, yeah, they invested in crypto. They've used crypto before. These numbers, especially when you know who are the people who have made this abundance of wealth in cryptocurrency. It's those early ideological libertarians who got in back when they were actually trying to convince people that this sort of digital currency was better than like the gold standard or fiat currency. Or then later on when the tech VCs came in, they are overrepresented in this too because they are putting tons of money in this stuff so they can reap the benefits. Democratization, right? Decentralization, right? This is where all the money is. It's even more concentrated than the actual like real money fiat currency wealth. It's all rich, wealthy, white tech bros and some old finance people who got in late but had the money to still make a difference for themselves.
Well, and that's who Cory Booker's representing, by the way, because those are his donors and have been his donors since he got into the Senate. So that's the point. That's, I think, a key point here. But
yeah, but I also just want to make one more note about that. Like, let's say it's true that Black people and Latinos are more
bingo. I know what you're gonna say.
Into this stuff. That's not necessarily good. One, like Booker will actually, I'll say this after this because Booker kind of hints at what the real reason is. But the point is, crypto is not a solution to Black people and Latinos being kept out of the traditional banking and financial sectors. It's a huge liability that if this stuff goes south, which I think it
compounds the problem.
It's a problem because they're going to be overrepresented among people wiped out in a financial crisis because they were told to invest in something that does not create value.
It's basically like saying, loan sharks, they're a real exciting, innovative opportunity here because Black people and Latinos are overrepresented in taking out high risk, high interest loans.
I mean,
Jordan like Belfort saying penny stocks really democratizing.
Yeah,
payday loans are a burgeoning industry.
It's funny you bring up Jordan Belfort because guess who's got his own little NFT project he's promoting?
Of course. Here's a little bit more of Booker.
We are already seeing some of the hopeful, optimistic possibilities in cryptocurrency. It has a democratizing a force. Minorities are overrepresented in using that, and obviously it represent with traditional banking underbanked traditionally. And so for me, this disintermediation possibilities, the democratizing possibilities offer a lot of hope. But I do think this committee has a bit of some urgency to act in this space and create some frameworks and guardrails to protect against the things some of my colleagues have already brought up, like fraud. And so,
yeah.
I mean, the issue isn't just fraud. The issue is the whole space. The whole space is a Ponzi scheme. It's gonna, and eventually, who knows how long it'll go. It's probably going to end up being whatever ends up happening, well beyond even my lifetime. Who knows? It'll end up being already probably the biggest scam ever perpetuated on people in modern day. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable to me that people are buying into this stuff. And I mean, Cory Booker is obviously not a dumb guy. He's clearly got his reasons for saying these sorts of things, but people will listen to him.
Reasons.
People will hear, people will hear these things, and they will say, "Oh, I don't want to be left behind." Not, that's built into the cryptocurrency rhetoric. Not going to make it. Have fun staying poor. That's what they say to people who are no coiners, anti-crypto, or crypto skeptics. I mean, it's this. What other industry that's a legitimate industry does that? Like, what other, you don't need to convince people to make money. In this capitalist system, obviously it's something that you have to do, but you don't need to be oh, if you don't do this, you're going to be left behind. No, but this, you got to pump up your own value, right? Because that's what they do. That's everything this is all about. That's why they promote it so hard, because if you get more people to buy in, the value of what you're holding goes up. And then when those people eventually sell off, it's the people they convince to buy in are going to be left holding the bag.
I agree with that, man. I think any guardrails that Cory Booker or is referring to putting in place for the crypto or NFT community are going to be guardrails for those, big Wall Street banks, those big sort of investment VC capital funds that are, already investing in crypto in more amounts than your everyday average person can, but, are a little bit trepidatious about getting involved in an economy where they can be hacked and lose, what on their ledger is supposed to look like 40, 50 million, $1 billion overnight, and there is just no recourse for them to get that money back. I think that your everyday average crypto investor is still going to be left holding the bag in these scams, but he wants there to be some resources for his donors to recoup any losses that they accrue as a result of I don't know, a bank putting all of their money into apes or something and having those hacked because somebody sends a phantom JPEG to their wallet that hacks them. So I think this is about allowing VCs and banks to play in that space without having to play by the same rules as smaller investors. And then, the rest of us in society who pay taxes, who aren't involved in the crypto game, are going to be left holding the bag too when banks require a huge bailout when this bubble bursts.
Right. He brought up the unbanked, and that's one of the things I think is the most disingenuous about all of this. Because someone who doesn't have a bank account, they usually it's because they don't have enough money to basically have the minimum balance, or for various other reasons. Usually people who are impoverished or don't make a lot of money, they don't have a bank account. They have to, when they get their check, they have to go to a check cashing place. So they get a fraction of a Bitcoin or a fraction of whatever crypto that Cory Booker's thinking of, even if they get Tether or some other stable coin, which is another scam in all of itself. But so they get this crypto in their cryptocurrency wallet. They need to go buy milk and other food, vegetables, fruits, dinner, lunch, breakfast, whatever, at the store. What do they need to do with this crypto? They need to exchange it for real, actual money. So how does this cryptocurrency wallet help them in any way? It doesn't, because it's not a substitution for a bank account.
Yeah.
It's just a high risk speculative asset that you just get the feeling that like more and more rich people who are highly connected want to be more involved with, but they just don't like the risk that comes associated with this unregulated, essentially scam economy, not to borrow the name of your show, Matt. And, they are the people who have Cory Booker's ears, not the unbanked, homeless population, or the unbanked, like people who have bad credit, who can't get a bank account because of that. It's just the people who, would love to put more money in crypto, but what if they get left holding the bag? That can't happen.